Hi everybody and welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to be swapping out the timing belt on this 2015 Volvo V70 D4. This is the all-wheel drive V70. It is the 5-cylinder diesel, so it's not the 4-cylinder. They are available with the 4-cylinder D4 as well, but this is the 5-cylinder D4, which should be called the D5. I don't know why they did that, but don't ask me about that. Hopefully we won't have to do the water pump, but I got stuff for that in case. But we'll just feel it and see if it's good. If it is, we'll just leave it alone and take that on the next cam belt exchange. Okay, so let's get started by removing this cover, which is very easy. Just pull this up, press the middle of this down. Go ahead and get rid of that. There we go. Be sure to put this back so you don't get any bolts in there. That would be not so very good. Okay, so we have gotten the car up in the air. We have gotten this noise shield off. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to put the jack underneath the engine to give it some support. We will. The next thing we're going to do is remove the engine mount up top, and we need some kind of support underneath here just to keep the engine from falling down. And there we go. All right, so the next thing we want to do is get rid of this. We're going to move this over here. We're going to get the engine mount taken off, and we're going to get the cam belt cover off so we can expose the cam belt and also get some space in here. We'll start off by unscrewing this bolt. And then we can unclip this, which is just over here. Don't take it off of here because there's pressure in here. It'll just squirt water everywhere. Try to keep that on. And then we want to get this thing, this little cable right here. You just want to unhook that from the canister. And then we can just lift this whole thing up. Supposedly. There we go. Now, we can go ahead and take this off. Now we can get to these bolts right here. There we go. Just put that to the side, and then we'll undo the rest of these bolts. Pump your engine up a little bit more. You want to make sure that this is loose before you take them bolts out. And there we go. Now we can take the engine mount off. Now we also want to get this engine, the actual mount, not the bracket. All right, so the cam cover is held in place by these two tabs right here and an 8mm screw right down here. And there we go. Now we're gonna head on down and take the wheel off and continue on from there. All right, so once you have the wheel off, the next thing you wanna do is to get this wheel liner or whatever you want to call this thing. You want to get this thing out of here. It's held in place by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiny Torx T25 and 3 10mm nuts. All right, so once you got the shield out, and you're gonna arrive at this piece of plastic right here. You also want to remove that. I don't know what it is really. I guess it's for protection for bigger rocks or something. But it's behind here anyway. You just want to stick something in the middle of these clips. Push that little button in. And you can get it out. Like so. Alright, so before we do anything else, let's go ahead and take this nut off. We can just torque it off and then we'll put it back on loosely so that we know we can get it off. Because if we can't get this thing off, then you might as well just give up and leave this to a workshop that can heat this thing and get it off. So let's start there. Let's get this nut off. Put that on there, full blast. Piece of cake, right? And you just want to put that back on there. And we'll get the small ones as well. There we go. Now we know that all these will come off. They're not going to be a problem to us. The next thing we're going to do is remove this auxiliary belt. It is located way down there, which is almost impossible to see, even more so to film it. But I got the GoPro here, so hopefully you guys can see some. I'm trying to remember how the belt goes. So it goes from the alternator down around the AC pump, around the flywheel or the crank, up around the tensioner, and back up to the alternator. Let's see here if we can get this thing on here. Well, it is a number 15, and we'll just double it up. Then you want to reach into the wheelhouse and just get the belt off. Like so. You want to slowly undo the tension. There you go. All right, so the next thing we want to do is get this thing zeroed. And up here we have a little notch, and then we have a little notch on here somewhere. I'll draw it out. So you can just barely see it right there. Do it like so, and then we have the marking right here. And then we'll go down here, and we'll turn the crank until we come back around and meet those marks up. All right, so once you got the engine zeroed out, you can go ahead and take the harmonic balancer off. All right, so I'm getting ready to remove the cam belt. And I noticed something right here with the tensioner. It should be right here, but it's way over here. So it's kind of loose, the entire belt. I guess the belt is worn. It's a little bit longer than it's supposed to be. So that's why it's all loose. But anyway, let's get this belt off. All right, so you get your 6mm Allen key in there. Then you have your 12mm open key. I would actually skip this. Don't need to have that in there. Just undo this carefully. It's pretty much loose. You can just go ahead and take it off. Alright, so with the belt out of the way, we can just go ahead and take this tensioner off altogether. We're also going to get this auxiliary pulley right here. That does not spin very well at all. There we go. This will be a 10mm bolt. See, the grease has kind of started pushing out the bearing there. That's weird. Good thing we're replacing them. All right, and then we just want to feel the water pump. Sounds good. No play. No nothing. I would say that's good. We're not gonna bother with that today. But this is about the time that you would remove it. Just to undo the bolts, make sure you really clean up the face where it was with the gasket and stuff. You cannot have even the slightest trace of gasket. Put the new water pump on there, put the gasket on, use some sealant. I would recommend the Permatex Super Blue, and then, put the new pump on there. All right, so this is what we're going to be using today. This is the Gates Power Grip Kit. Nothing really special with this. I've just been enjoying the product. I've used this on a couple of cars. It's been working fine. It's a kit that you get everything that you'll need, But today we're not going to be using the water pump and all the screws and gaskets, so we'll just put that to the side. And today we're just going to be focusing on the belt itself, the tensioner, and the pulley. So let's go get the belt on there. So let's start by putting these pulleys on. So I'm just going to add a little dab of Loctite onto the screws, which are supplied with the kit, and we'll get the tensioner. All right, now we do the tensioner, and you don't want to pull this one all the way, but you want to get it almost in there, like 95%. All right, then we take the belt, and I always kind of do a quick pre-check just to see that they're roughly the same length anyway, but you also have these signs right here. So on the Volvo original one it says 132/28, and this one says 132/28, so you know it's the same. All right, then you just want to send the new cam belt down here. And you want to make sure to get it around the crank first. Man, this thing is... that is why. There's a little plastic thing here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a plastic little tab right there. You want to make sure you get your cam belt on the right side of that one, like on the top of it. All right, so let's go ahead and set the tension. You want to have a look at this tension and see if there's an arrow or anything. On this one, there's an arrow this way. So you want to turn it this way, but some of the tensioners I've seen go the other way, so just watch out for that. You just push it until it's in the middle, like we talked about. Here we go, so it's slightly over tightened. Kind of looks like that. And we'll see how it looks like when we have turned the engine over twice. So let's do that. All right, let's have a look here. That still aligns, and that still aligns. So the timing is good. Now let's have a look at the tensioner. Nah, tensioner is a little bit high, so we're gonna drop that down a little bit. That looks good to me. It's right in the middle. All right, so let's put the harmonic balancer back on. You can actually use the tensioner right here as well, if you're located down below. So I'm gonna try that and see how that works. I don't see how that would be easier, but we can try. Let's see if we can fit this in here. Actually worked surprisingly well.
Three, two, one.
Alright guys, that's all for today. We got that cam belt swapped out. I've actually still got the car on the jack stands because I'm gonna go ahead and change the oil on this thing while I have it in here. Maybe I'll make a little video on that as well for a rainy day. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ha det gött! Hej!